Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rakshit Subramanya, a student studying at SVC. Today I'll be doing a presentation on the topics data types, variables and arrays in Java. So let's move in. So first let's do the introduction. The data types in Java are define the type of data that a variable can hold. So in Java, there are many different types of data to which a broad name data types is given. The variables are vessels, and these vessels are used to store that data in a memory. So here, as we read the definition, variables are used to store values in the memory and can be of different data types. So as you can see, the variables act as a vessel for the different types of data to be stored in the memory, and it can be of any data type, either digit or character or anything. It will be able to carry it. So we'll also know that arrays in Java are a collection of elements of the same data type. So if you have seen one of my previous videos where we talked about list, it is similar, but here it can only store the elements of same data type. So here also it follows different indexing methods which we will be seeing ahead. So here in the given photo we can see the different types of data. For an example, where byte, short and int and long are the integer type of data, while float and double are the floating point of data, while character is a symbol type of data, and boolean is a logical type of data, which we'll be seeing in further. As you can see in the photos, you can understand different types of data that can be stored with them, and you can also see how much memory volume they occupy. So let's move on. First, let's see the primitive data types. Java has 8 primitive data types: byte, short, int, long, float, double, char and boolean. The byte stores a whole number from 128 to 127, while the character stores a single character. As you saw in the previous photo, in the picture, also there is a picture even here. You can see the byte where description says 2 complement integers. So the byte provides an 8-bit size where numbers from over 128 to 127 range of values can be stored, while character allows you to enter any ASCII value ranging from 0 to 255. So if you, for further information, you can also refer to the picture over here for a better understanding. In numeric data types, we have int, long and float, which are the most basic used. So int stores a whole numbers from, you can see the example which are very big numbers. This whole int stores all these numbers will carry 8 bytes of size. Now we have long, which stores larger numbers that compared to int. As you can see, there are larger numbers, and the float stores decimal numbers with a single precision, or let's say accuracy. Again, you can infer the photo here. As you can see, int gives 32 bytes of size for the given question here, while long has 64 bits, not bytes, bits. Bytes and bits are different. Please do confirm that here. So int has 32 bits of size, while long has 64 bits of size. And you can, for different data types, which you can use short also, which you haven't mentioned it, also takes 16 bits of data. You can check the range over here from minimum value to maximum value. So let's move on. Now in numeric data type we also have double, which stores decimal value just like the float, but here double has the double precision. So then these numeric data types are used with arithmetic operators. So arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication and division can be performed on these numeric data types. Even casting can be convert casting can be used to convert a data type from one type to another. So you can see the given picture here, which defines the different types of data we have. So first, from Java data types you have primitive and the reference. The primitive goes to integral and floating point, while integral has byte, char, short, int, long, and the floating point has float and double. And one of the last of the primitive is the boolean, which is the logical data type. In reference we have arrays, interface and classes, which we will study further in other classes. In the other videos I'll upload. So let's move on. Now we go to the non-numeric data types. Boolean. The boolean stores either true or false. So when you're using a boolean data type, it responds either with a true or a false. And then we have a character. A single character using Unicode representation is stored. And the string is not a primitive data type, but it is a class in Java. It represents a sequence of characters. So if you can see the picture here, string data. A string data type represents text rather than numbers. So even if you put numbers in them, it will show them as a text, not as a number digit. And then you have boolean data type again, which shows you true or false. And then you have date, which helps you represent the current date. Let's move on. Declaring and initializing variables. So variables must be declared with a specific data type before they can be used. Variables can be initialized at a time of declaration or later even in the code. For example, int age equals 25 is one of the way of initializing or declaring, and it declares an integer variable age and assigns the value 25 to it. So if you print age, you're going to get the value 25 printed on your screen. So the syntax for printing for declaring a variable is data type variable name equals to its value. As you can see the picture here, data type variable name, which is the basic data type. It can even be called in the programs while saying, for example, when we use a for loop, you can say for int of I equals 0 instead of putting I equals 0. So you're initializing int I over there and declaring that I is equal to 0. So it is possible to do within the code also. It doesn't matter that if you don't do it in the first. So the data types, it can be changed even in the program. So when a data type from a small type, so in size wise int is smaller while double and long are bigger. So we use something called the widening program where the data type is converted from a smaller to the bigger one. In widening, usually in data widening, the data types had changed automatically. So if you see in this program here, you see that the int value is 10. Long of long value equals int value. So what happens, it automatically that 10 becomes a long character or a float character or double as per it is declared over here. So it doesn't need a separate initialization. Now we see the narrow casting where the bigger data type is converted into the smaller data type. Now here, unlike the other ones, you cannot do it directly. As you can see there, float double value equals 123.456. Float value equals float of double value. So you need to specify the data type before the name of the variable that you are converting. Only then can you narrowcast something, or else you cannot convert it from a bigger data type into a smaller one. So that is one of the ways. Let's move on. Now let's talk about variable scope. Variable scope refers to the portion of the code where the variable is accessible. Local variables are declared within a method or a block and have a limited scope. Instance variables are declarations within a class and can be accessed by all methods in the class. There is also a different type called global variables, where once declared global, the variables are accessible all over the program. You can refer to the picture on the left for a better understanding. Now let's talk about arrays in Java. Arrays are used to store multiple values of the same data type. As I mentioned, arrays have a fixed length and can store elements of the same data type. Elements in an array can be accessed using an index. So if you see in the picture here, even though it is A, B, C, D, you can see the index number below them 0, 1, 2, 3. The data is accessed using these index numbers. Declaring and initializing an array. Arrays must be declared with a specific data type and size before they can be used. For example, you can see int of numbers equals new int of 5. So we just initialized an array numbers of size 5. So as you can read it declares an integer array named numbers with size 5. So elements in an array are initialized using loops or individually. So let's see forward. Accessing array elements. Array elements can be accessed using their index. The index starts from 0 to length minus 1. So it starts from the index starts from 0 and to the total size of array minus 1. So for example, you can see int third number equals number of 2. Assign the third element of the numbers. Assigns the number element of the third numbers array to the variable of the third number. So what is happening here? When you put int third number equals numbers of 2, numbers is an array where data are stored. So in the numbers array, in the location of 2, whatever data is there is assigned to the third number of another one. The variable third number is going to be assigned with the value of the index numbers 2. Let's move on. Modifying an array. An array element can be modified by assigning new values to them. So for example, it is done with numbers of 0 equals 10. So we had declared an array numbers with different values. When you put numbers of 0 equals 10, it changes the value inside the array. So inside in the indexing at the position 0, whatever value is there is going to be overwritten with 10. So see, you reader, the changes of the values of the first element in the numbers array is changed to 10. So the array elements can be modified using loops based on their different conditions. Here is a program, an example program to show you how arrays are modified. So please try to execute this once and refer to the program if you have any confusion. Let's move on. Now up till now we were talking about single dimension arrays. Now we are going to talk about multi-dimensional arrays. So Java supports multi-dimensional arrays which are which have two columns or rows, two sets called rows and columns. For example, here you can see int of two blank boxes, matrix, new int of 3 3. So you're specifying the number of rows and number of columns also. So it declares a 2D array named matrix with the size 3 cross 3. So you guys can, if you guys know matrix, you'll understand how it's happening. Elements in a multi-dimensional array can be accessed during multiple indices. It can also be accessed using looping statements. Let's move on. Working with arrays. Arrays provide various methods and properties to manipulate and analyze data. For example, arrays.sort of numbers helps you sort the different data. The sort of numbers of elements, it sorts it in such a way that it's in an ascending order. So arrays have many operations like that: traversing, insertion, deletion, palindrome. Palindrome is for example 1 to 1 is a palindrome. In such ways, let's move on. So finally, for a summary, we learned the data types in Java define the type of variables it can hold. We also learned variables are used to store values in memory and can be of different data types. And we learned arrays in Java are a collection of elements of the same data type. Thank you. Hope you understood something. Please do like, share and subscribe.